Good day, subscribers. Welcome back to the Contrarian, everybody. What would be a quarter gone by without talking about good old Michael Burry and Scion Asset Management? Of course, he was made famous in The Big Short. Now everybody, including myself, likes to talk about him, take a look at his portfolio, his actions in the last quarter, what he's done, what he's bought and sold, how his positions from previous quarters have played out, and much like a lot of previous quarters, we do have some big updates from the last 3 months, looking in the rearview mirror at what he just disclosed on his 13F filing. So I'll get into this today. I'm looking on fintel.io. There's a lot of sites you could find this information. I just find it most clear on this site, at least for Michael Burry's portfolio, which is Scion Asset Management. That's his hedge fund that he manages. But I guess getting right into it with the top increases this quarter, positions that Michael Burry has bought into heavily, first and foremost is shorting BlackRock's institutional trust ETFs, semiconductor ETF, SOX, ticker symbol SOXX. This is a new position of his. He bought a bunch of put options on this ETF, and going on the notional value of these put options, this would be 47.8% of his portfolio. Of course, that's exaggerated because he doesn't actually own all of the shares underlying, but so it is exaggerated. It's not actually 47.8% of his portfolio. That's just the notional value of it, but still a very big position nonetheless, going short semiconductor ETFs. And this is pretty telling. Obviously, Burry thinks this is a bubble, everything, NVIDIA especially, but also looking at other semiconductors, the tremendous runs that these stocks have had in the last year, anywhere, 2 to 500% up in the last year, obviously on the back of artificial intelligence and a lot of hype behind that. So Burry obviously sees this as a big opportunity to go short, and he's hoping that this can, play out soon, because with going short something, you're actually limited in terms of the time you have for that to play out. The options will expire. In the case of short selling, you have to borrow the shares and pay a fee to do so. And then also, if they go up substantially, you could be enough underwater in your position that you have to cover. So going short is difficult, and obviously Burry seems to think that the time to be short these stocks is now, and so he is short SOXX. He's also short Booking Holdings. Not near as large of a position, but it's interesting that he did pick this one stock to go short. So both these positions seem to reflect a bearish outlook on at least some of the more generously valued stocks out there right now. So it's interesting, though, that he did also buy other stocks. So he's not completely bearish across the board, apparently. He bought Stellantis, which is obviously one of these major auto manufacturers. It's kind of the parent company of Chrysler, Fiat. It's the main company that's been in a lot of the turmoil surrounding all of these union strikes and union deals and everything that's been in the news the last few months. But it's interesting to see that he bought into Stellantis. He obviously seems to think that all of the turmoil is kind of in the rearview mirror for them. Hopefully they can look forward and actually begin to increase production and get back on track with having all their employees there. Maybe that's his thinking with Stellantis. Nexstar Media Group, another 7% position for him, 7% of his portfolio. Bought into them. Star Bulk Carriers Corporation, Booking Holdings Inc. That's so interesting that he seems to have bought shares in Booking Holdings, but anyway, he's shorted apparently too with put options. So not quite sure what's going on there. But yeah, somewhat confusing for myself just seeing that right now. Alibaba, he bought Alibaba shares which is interesting because he actually closed out of this position earlier this year. So it seems like he may be doing a bit of trading here and there. Um, Unfortunately, these kinds of filings just give us a snapshot of what happened in this quarter. It doesn't give us a snapshot of how long the position was that he previously had. He could have even already sold this position or any of these since the quarter ended. So unfortunately, these kinds of snapshots don't give us the whole picture. Um, EuroNav NV, he also bought shares in that. JD.com, another Chinese retail giant, kind of like Alibaba, he bought into this again. And again, he did also have a position in this earlier in the year. So apparently, he thinks the Chinese economy is going to start doing better going forward. Now, looking at decreases this quarter, this is where it gets pretty interesting because Burry famously went short in a big way. The Nasdaq and the S&P 500. In his previous filing, it was released that he had pretty significant positions in both of these short positions. So he went short the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq via put options, and he did exit these positions since then. And so, of course, the media is all talking about it right now, saying that it's likely that Burry was not profitable in this position, and he may have even lost a significant amount of money. Just looking in terms of the last 3 to 6 months, the indices have been choppy to say the least. So it would have been difficult for Burry to have done this profitably. He would have had to go short kind of at the right time when the markets were peaking out, kind of right where they are now. And then he would have needed to exit, a few weeks to a few months ago prior to when the indices started rallying again, which they have. And so, just my thoughts are it's difficult looking at the charts of where these indices have been. It will have been difficult for Burry to have been profitable there. So he may have lost money on these two positions of his, shorting the S&P 500 and shorting the Nasdaq. It is interesting that he did exit these positions again with put options. We don't know what the duration of these options were. They may have simply expired, or he may have sold out of them before expiration. So he may have decided that it wasn't worth it for him to be short anymore. We don't know, unfortunately. Again, this doesn't give us either the strike price of these options or the duration of them. So it's kind of an incomplete picture. He also sold out of Expedia Group Inc. Maybe that's similar to going short bookings. Again, going bearish, or closing out of a position. He may have been profitable and just wanting to lock in some profits. Liberty Broadband Corporation sold out of that completely. Generac Holdings sold out of that. Cigna Group, CVS Health, interesting to see here because that's been a good performer. Or I guess healthcare, broadly speaking, has been performing well along with some of the other top performers in the indices. So he may be closing out of some positions that have grown to be profitable. MGM Resorts International, he closed out of this. Vital Energy Inc. closed out of that, and Signet Jewelers Limited. So it's very interesting to look at Burry's portfolio right now because, again, he has a large short position right up at the top. He's still bearish, apparently, on the economy, bearish on the most generously valued stocks out there, which undoubtedly semiconductors would be right up there with something like Tesla, Bitcoin, crypto-related stocks, things like that. Definitely the most generously valued stocks out there right now. He is short, so he seems to be bearish some pretty heavily, but then also bullish some others. So apparently there's still value to be found out there. According to Burry, he's not completely short. He's not completely bearish. He did actually exit some short positions of his, and those probably didn't play out as he was expecting. So all this being said, it's a lot to take in. The actions that Michael Burry has taken the last quarter. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts about Michael Burry, what he might be up to, what his thoughts could be. Love to hear what you think about the changes he's made in the comment section below, and hope to see all of you again at some point in the future.